Hello and welcome back to this course on usually we were discussing F&B department profit and loss statement, and we have so far covered the revenue of the food and beverage department into food revenue, beverage revenue, other operating revenues of the hotel. Now let us look at the cost. As we have seen in the profit and loss statement, the cost has been categorized into three main aspects. One is direct cost of sales, means whatever food and beverage department is producing and the cost is directly identified to the particular food recipe, then it is going to be the direct cost of sales, i.e. cost of food, cost of beverages, and the cost of audiovisual services that the company has rented out in providing the services to the guest. And then you have labor cost, which is even though it's a direct cost in providing the food and beverage services, it's grouped separately because it's rather fixed compared to the food, which is food cost, which is primarily a variable cost. It depends on the revenue. If you don't have a F&B revenue, you don't have a F&B cost, but you still will have the labor cost. Then the third category is the other cost, which is other operating cost of chinaware, glassware, silverware, cooking ware, servers, and other decoration, menu cost, uniform, training, and a lot of cost, right? So we're going to be looking at these cost, all of these three categories cost in detail now. Let us start with the cost of sales. So the cost of sales is primarily divided into the cost of food and beverage sales. That's one. So the cost of food and beverage sales is the cost of all the food that the hotel has purchased in order to produce the food for the guest or the beverages for the guest. Since the food cost, the food revenue includes food plus non-alcoholic beverages. So the cost of non-alcoholic beverages such as coffee, tea, fruits, syrups, or anything else which is used in making those non-alcoholic beverages is also going to cost of food, as we have discussed while we were discussing the revenue, that certain hotels may not practice this. Certain hotels might be practicing that the cost of beverages like coffee, tea, juices will be going to cost of beverages, the beverage revenue, but then the hotel has to make sure that the cost of that beverage is transferred to the beverage revenue. That's what is the minimum requirement. Then the cost of food, sometime when you buy the food items and you keep in the store, there are spoilages, there are spillages, there are damages to the food. We don't take out the cost of those food and beverage item which has been spoiled from the cost calculations, but rather is treated as still as a cost of sales, because it's a necessary part of preparations. The spoilages, the spillages, and the waste is all part of producing the food revenue, producing the food. So it's the cost is not taken out and charged to any other cost, but is remain in the food cost. However, a treatment, a tracking of such cost is very necessary so that you can control the food cost as a percentage to revenue or food cost in general, because spoilages, wastage, spillages are quite often a huge factor in having high food cost. Then as we said, the cost, it includes the cost of coffee, tea, milk, juice, sodas, and other non-alcoholic beverages. But sometimes when you have sales, usually you are providing, you are sometimes selling the food to the at a cost to the staff, or to the transferring out to the other departments, such as the kitchen might transfer certain food and certain fruits and vegetables to housekeeping department to set up in the guest rooms. As we saw in the guest room, it goes to complimentary gifts and services. So the cost will be charged to that department. So it will be a credit to the food and beverage department and charged to the rooms division. Sometimes you may be providing free meals to the staff, to the traders, to the partners, to the company's visitors, which are most on the marketing purposes, or they are there for promotional purposes, or they are there for visiting, auditing, or and consulting, or any purpose other than the paying guest. So if the hotel has been providing free food to such categories, the cost of it will be charged to the relevant department, complimentary services and gifts, instead of charging to the food and beverage department. So there will always be a cost taken out. So usually at the end of the month, the cost controller of the hotel or the finance department of the hotel usually will track down all the complimentary things, the meal which is taken by the staff, or the items which has been transferred to the other departments, and credit out the consumption from the F&B department and charge to those hotels at cost. So there is no profit involved in it, but there is normally a cost. Sometimes you don't have the exact cost of the such meals. For example, if the employee is going into the staff canteen and eating a buffet, so how will you charge the cost of it? So normally you have a average, you have a selling price, and you take at the end of the month what was the food cost in total, and then you use that food cost to charge out to the other departments. So that's one way, so that it does not it does not include any kind of profit or labor or any other item. So those expenses remains in F&B department, only the cost of food is charged. Then you have the other part of the entertainment in-house. So similarly, the cost of beverages is traded. So it's only the cost of alcohol beverage that goes to the cost of beverages. But similar to the food, if something has been transferred to the rooms department, let's say you are giving a complimentary wine to a guest for their 50th stay, so the cost should be charged to rooms department. So but the wine is normally carried by F&B department, so there will be a cost transfer from F&B department to the room department. So the important thing here is that the beverage, the F&B department need to maintain all type of transfer or all type of records what have been transferred to the other departments. How many times the meal has been consumed free of cost by the hotel's executives or their guests, or by their partners, their visitors, their auditors, or whoever. But the point to note is that if the item is given free of cost to a guest as a guest recovery, then the cost is the cost is not charged there. The revenue is credited to the total food revenue, and there is a allowance part of it in that particular department. So there usually will be the no cost transfer. But if let's say in certain hotels, if the cost of food and beverage is given free of cost as a guest recovery in, let's say, a mistake by spa, right? So it's not that you're gonna charge the cost of that complimentary food to the spa department, but actually it will be treated as the cost of food sales, and then you will recognize the revenue, but also given it as an allowance. So certain hotels practice other way around. Certain hotels practice that the cost, they will treat the cost of such complimentary meals to charge to the department as a entertainment or as a complimentary gifts and services. However, service recovery is always treated as an allowance from the revenue of the food and beverage department. So that's about it on the cost of sales. Then other cost categories we will be looking at in the next video.